Welcome back to the Occult Rejects. Tonight we're joined by journalist, author, and publisher Chad Kushins. Am I saying your last name correct? I don't even know.
You did. You
All
did.
right.
Thank you for that. Yeah, I've got every pronunciation. Yeah.
Yes. The man behind Modern Occultist, a quarterly esoteric journal created to bring serious occult writing, historical investigation, original artwork, and conversations with contemporary practitioners into one place. Modern Occultist covers a remarkably broad landscape, including ceremonial magic, Gnosticism, New Thought, paganism, Wicca, witchcraft, occult history, and the people who are actively shaping modern esoteric culture. Rather than treating occultism as either a relic or the past, as either a relic of the past or a collection of superficial internet aesthetics, the magazine creates room for scholars, authors, artists, and working practitioners to speak about what these traditions have been, what have they become, and where they may be heading. He also brings a professional journalist perspective to the occult world. His work has appeared in publications including High Times and the Daily Beast, and he is the author of several major biographies, including books on Warren Zevon and Led Zeppelin drummer John Bonham. That background makes him particularly interesting to us because occult history desperately needs people who are willing to investigate, document, question, and preserve it without stripping away its mystery. Today, we are going to talk about why he created Modern Occultist, what it takes to publish a serious esoteric magazine, how he separates genuine history from modern invention, and what the current occult revival may reveal about what the culture is producing. Chad, thank you so much for joining us. Before we introduce you, I will be introducing the room now. What is going on, Judith? How are
you? I'm fine. Thank you for having me, Chad. Thank you for coming on. I'm very excited to hear that we have a occult magazine out there, and I can't wait to hear a few of the details.
Go ahead. I don't have to speak yet. I don't want to interrupt what you were saying.
No. Go ahead.
I'm very flattered to be here. I'm a fan of the show, and it's such a pleasure to meet you guys virtually, but in real life now. And I really appreciated the intro, Nick. That was beautiful. And to be honest with you, it's really nice to be on a show that appreciates what we're doing. And it sounds like you have a real enthusiasm for what our initiative is and what we're going for. So I was really looking forward to getting a chat with you guys about it. Thank you so much for having me.
No, thank you. Please. I think it's I do think it's really cool. Like, to me, it kind of almost brings back, even though it's not on paper, I do feel like it's kind of it reminds me back in the day when I'd be looking at like horror or metal magazines, like in 7-Eleven. Yeah, I'm hanging out on Portion Road over by the lake, because you're from New York, maybe Lake Rock. Looking at the magazine rack as a younger kid, as my father was like getting coffee or some shit. Looking at all these weird magazines. You know what I'm saying? It just makes me kind of think of that era.
I'm very flattered. I got a real visual.
You're not supposed to look at that.
I got a perfect visual of you doing that now. The second,
I just had
exactly where it is. Well. I appreciate that. No, that is a little bit of what we were going for, a little bit. So I am co-publishers. There's my wife, Diana, who is not seated with me at the moment. The two of us are the publishers of it. And Diana does a lot of the outreach. We are launching a podcast, the Modern Occultist podcast, where we get to, it's coming next month, where we kind of expand upon the interviews that we've done in the magazine. And Nick, you're being interviewed by us as well. Yes. So we cater a certain amount of the questions towards what our guest's specialty is or their field. And then we do like a standardized type one, about the beliefs and the philosophy, and each person kind of answers that. But there's just so much space you can do. So the podcast it's hosted by Diana, and it can draw out longer questions and more real time like this. And she does our social media and outreach. But for the magazine, my journalism background came in handy quite a bit because I've been doing this for longer than I look, to be honest with you. I always wanted to have a magazine, and I missed doing traditional journalism because the biographies, thank you for mentioning that, the ones that I write, they do take years. And that's a point that I can make. A book takes a really long time, especially when it's nonfiction. We have the digital era where with a magazine, there's more rapid turnaround, no loss of quality as far as that. You can make changes. And I have to level with you. If it wasn't for digital, I don't think we would have been able to put out a magazine, at least to start.
No,
So,
no, I don't think there's enough people that would get it. It'd be really hard, I think, to do that, honestly, my opinion.
At least in the U.S., at least here.
Yeah,
because I will level with you. I'd see where I could begin with this. You had mentioned why I got into this particular subject matter. I have been a reporter since I was 16, as I was telling you guys beforehand in our virtual green room. Thanks to my late mom, my first job in my whole life was as an intern 2 summers in a row at a community newspaper. I wanted to be a writer since I'm a kid. And the age that I am now, I'm 43, the age I am now is when I started at 16 at this community paper, they didn't have a website. It was still print. They showed me how they cut the ads, how you do this, how you do this. And it was really like the last cusp of getting like the J. Jonah Jameson vibe from your publisher and editor, you know, that real traditional feel. Most of the journalists I know now, everyone is remote and the meetings take place like this. But I tried to bring some of that original process to how we do the magazine. The books that I have ended up writing take a really long time because of the interview process, and then as far as, well, if you don't mind me showing, the most recent I have is my first hero in life when I was a kid was Elmore Leonard, the crime writer. And he and I corresponded when I was a kid. He took mercy on me and proofread one of my short stories when I was 15. And for his centennial, I was very honored. I got to know his family. And for what would have been his centennial, this came out last year. It's his biography. But I did miss writing articles on a regular basis, interviewing a wider spectrum of people on different topics, much like you guys do with your show. And this really offers that. Diana and I, she's from Hungary originally, but we had lived in Berlin, Germany for a while. And the friends that I made there, I promise that this circles back. I don't speak German. So I became friends with a lot of expats who are English speaking from different countries. And the hub where we would meet is this incredible esoteric space that is there in Berlin. If you can visit, or if there's anybody international that's watching this, please check out The Fool. It's named for the 0 card from the tarot. Nice. And I made buddies that really close friends that were there, and everyone was from different countries. And, you know, more than once a week, they would have a lecture series. It wasn't a shop. You would go there and you would hear lectures and presentations on tarot, astrology, and then the nitty gritty of these things. And I was privy to hearing this. And then before we came back, I was offered the opportunity to do a presentation, to do a workshop and a lecture. And my topic was esoteric AI and technosis, because AI can be a very scary thing if you're a writer, but if you're a researcher, it has its uses.
Oh yeah,
and there is
enough.
Exactly. So I did a presentation and a lecture on the brazen head and Socrates' daemon, or how you pronounce it, demon, and how all of this foretold what some people use AI for. I know chaos magicians that use it to create servitors. And
yeah, but I've been hearing about that more lately. You know, people, I guess that seems to be like a topic of debate.
The new thing?
People like the new thing. Witches are telling other witches they can't do. I guess I don't know.
Well,
they tend to do that quite often too. I've noticed.
Well, it's interesting because there's 2 ways. We can go off on a tangent with this, but the big figure, the big public figure that got nailed for that, I think, would probably be Grant Morrison, who is a chaos magician himself. But when he admitted publicly not that long ago that he used AI for different things that had to do with his ceremonial magic, a lot of artists in the comic community got mad finding out he was using it at all. So I think people might stay quiet about it, but it has its uses, especially if you're reading denser material and ancient texts. I have to level with you. AI, I mean, you always want to double check everything, but it helps with translations of some of the real ancient stuff that you would read. But I did do a presentation on that, and I got really inspired. And I had spoken with Diana about that. So our first issue, we kind of is based upon the original lecture. That became the theme of the issue. But it's mainly because I love the process of learning this and having an excuse to read all of these texts. And that's really the best part of getting to do this every month. But yeah, that's really the foundation of it. Is I had always had an interest in, as I don't mean to do all the talking, but an interest in esotericism. I'm originally from New York, Nick, as you know exactly where I'm from.
Yes,
We're not only from a similar area, but we don't live that far from each other now. Yeah, I know. Yeah. Following each other.
That is bugged out. Yeah, I'm not gonna be too far away from you next month.
No, we're gonna hang out at some point.
No, for sure. I definitely. Isn't even from where you. I will give away where you live and forget. I was gonna ask a question about your area, but I've been wanting to go there regardless.
We can get into it. It's not a big secret.
Isn't it like one of the oldest cities in the country or something like that?
Columbia, South Carolina. Yeah. There's a lot of history here.
Yeah. I wanted to go there, especially Columbia. I mean, that's like so like divine feminine.
It's interesting because the South has its own esoteric history and its own beliefs, and it's also very Christian and very Baptist in many ways. But there are, if you go back far enough, there's a lot of interesting esotericism that goes back. And here at USC, the University of South Carolina, I'm very blessed about this. I have friends that work at the Thomas Cooper Library, at the huge, beautiful literary archive that's there. And the reason I first moved here ever years ago is because Elmore Leonard's archive is here. But one of the directors over there is a good friend of mine, Dr. Michael Weisenberg, who contributed an academic article to our first issue. But he always shows me the cool stuff that comes in. They get, for the archive, they have ancient books on witchcraft. There's a grimoire made of human skin, and it's not from a Bruce Campbell movie. It's the real deal, But there is that stuff. So if you dig deep enough, you can find some cool stuff. A lot of colleges with good archives will retain that just for its historic value. But I also get very funny looks sometimes as well, because it's not the occult is not the biggest interest here. I will admit that, but I also come from, my late mom was very Catholic, and my father converted from Judaism. So we had a lot of different religions in our extended family. I joked with my brother that I was an altar boy, and now I have an altar at home. So it kind of prepped me for that. They prepped me for the ceremonial stuff,
Well, even both religions, Catholicism, and I think, depending on I guess what kind of Jew you were. I mean, it could be very ritualistic.
Absolutely. I mean, it was interesting going back and looking at my own family heritage, because it wasn't practiced in the household, but as far as Kabbalah and using the original Hebrew names and things like that, and the intonations, I had to self-teach a lot of those things, for what I do. But the history is all over the Middle East, and anyone who is in the United States is somehow from immigrants. And a lot of these families brought their own beliefs and their own practice with them. My late mom was very Italian Catholic, and Italian witchcraft is its own subject. One of our contributors is Dr. Angela Puca. I know that you guys know each other.
Yes.
She did a great piece for us and did a wonderful interview in print as well. But that's her specialty is Italian witchcraft, and really the she's very specialized in what her métier is for that. But it's fascinating when you see people from different countries that zoom in on their own lineage and their own roots, and what you're able to delve out of that. The occult is kind of sort of everywhere, and that's the one thing I've learned from writing about it.
I do have a question for you.
Please.
Back up a little. Now, you mentioned that you had that the theory of your experience in Germany as the first episode or subscription. I'm not sure how you would say that. The
Sure.
first magazine you put out.
Yeah.
So when was that put out? I know you told us in the green room.
Oh, no, I'm flattered. I'd be very happy to say it. This is still our first year, and we are quarterly. because we go by the equinoxes and the solstice. It makes the most sense because we do cover Wicca and we try and mark each one of those appropriately for our readers. But I was also very inspired by Crowley, whose magazine was The Equinox. So doing a quarterly basis, it gives us time, to be honest with you, to gather enough material to gather the articles and write it. Because we always have featured contributors, but yours truly does have to write a certain amount of it. I have no problem.
I'm sure.
You know, human generated, so it's a lot of writing and research, but also the interviews. I like to give our contributors, as you know now, a certain amount of time, because everyone has a busy schedule, to really get to sit down and do the interview and prepare for it. You know, and 3 months seem to be a good amount of time to get that in order, even if you're digital. But we started, like Judith, I'm sorry, I know you had asked when we started. We launched, it was the winter solstice issue of 2021. So officially the cover date is December 21st, but there was a special reason that we held off 1 week. Even we did release it for the winter solstice, but the adjacent blog that we launched, I did exactly on January 1st of this year on purpose, because it was the 100 years to the day that Manly P. Hall began writing his magnum opus, which is this Secret of All Ages. And he began his research 100 years to the day that we launched the blog. So Manly P. Hall and his occult beliefs were the first blog that we did, which is linked to the website, Modern Occultist News. So,
nice.
So December 21st was that was the Technosis issue. Diana was guest editor for issue 2, which followed with the Equinox, and that was our manifestation issue. And the one that just came out one month ago today is the Chaos Magic issue for the summer solstice, and that's the one that's available right now.
So we have a lot of reading to catch up on.
Oh, thank you. I hope you enjoy it. No, I hope you guys like it. But it's also one of those things, and I hope I'm not doing too much talking because you got good questions. Like Nick had said before, we try and cover a wide spectrum of it. So even though each issue has a theme, we also try and divide the departments of the magazine into different versions, or not versions, but rather different branches of the occult tree. So we have a ceremonial magic section, there is Wicca and witchcraft as a section. I do try and run some stuff that you would deem maybe new thought or more secular, you know, because there are people that are into the chakras and into yoga, but they don't really consider it occult. So we will sometimes do that with some Eastern philosophy mixed in as well. And we're expanding now to do a more literary basis, because we have a lot of cool publishing affiliates that keep sending us great stuff. And as Judith had said, occultists like to really buy books. They like hard copies of their books. So occult books are the third biggest selling genre in the publishing industry right now. And that happened after that happened after COVID. When people were in lockdown, they did a lot of deep thinking and philosophical thinking and a lot of self-initiation, and kind of stuck with it. This is what I've been told from marketers who cover this. After COVID, people were at home reading the classics and they were looking for life's meaning. And a lot of them went into different directions of esoteric thought. And the genre of occult books, such as some of our affiliates, Llewellyn, Red Wheel Wiser, Aeon, all the sales figures went up because people were starting to ask the big questions and they went to the publishers that published that stuff.
That I didn't know.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I know that was a lot.
No. I had no idea. I mean, it makes sense. I mean, I thought it kind of did in a sense. Yeah, well, I guess maybe I think it maybe through like the witchcraft community. I think that definitely blew up.
That's definitely one of the most openly organized ones. Is, you know, when we go back, going to the internet before it became what it is today, which is more of a way of life than just a tool at home. A lot of people who are occultists or practice Wicca or witchcraft and ceremonial magic would often find each other through message boards and were able to communicate that way. And it was community based from the very beginning. And I think after lockdown, people might have been a little bit more open to it, a little bit more to trying new things, whether it was yoga or meditation that can lead into different schools of thought for a person. And I know I kept busy by doing the John Bonham book, but I also did a lot of meditation because I was in California at the time, primarily because I was in Berkeley at a Buddhist monastery. And I wasn't there for the whole duration, but I was there for 3 months, and then COVID happened and I had to get an apartment. And while I was there, I tried to keep up all those practices and to stay sane. I think a lot of people who read the magazine and read this material probably had the same mindset around that time.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Do you want to say something?
Yeah, I wanted to ask because you gave us your writing history, but where did your occult history actually start? At what point?
I thank you for that. I don't consider Buddhism in any way to be a cult. I don't want to use the wrong term to make it derogatory, but I did grow up in a Catholic household, and half of my extended family is Jewish. But I always had an interest in Eastern philosophy and Buddhism and Zen anyway, since I'm a teenager. And Mom started that too, because she knew I loved the writings of the Beat Generations. And I remember when I was about 16, same age, 16, 17 years old, she brought me an Alan Watts book on Zen home from the library. So I had an interest in esotericism, not just, when you think of the occult when you're that age and you don't have a positive influence in that light, you think of horror movies or more of the scary stuff and everything. So I worked slowly towards that because of perhaps Christian mysticism and Buddhist philosophies that were more like esoteric Buddhism, which I started to develop in my 20s on my own. But then being in Berlin, where in Europe it's much more popular and much more open. I'm not joking about that. You will see people who are open about their occult beliefs or their esoteric beliefs much more freely speaking about it or celebrating it than you will in the US. And also, and you will find this interesting, people still read hard copies of books and magazines much more frequently than they do in the United States. And I wish I could read German because there were some really cool magazines on these subjects, just not here. So the interest developed a lot more when I was there. It's also where I was able to get my Solomonic ring, if you don't mind me sharing. No. And then when Diane and we went to Portugal, I can share this with you. I was able to get my Eliphas Levi Tetragrammaton. Nice. But you see this significantly more popular in Europe than anywhere else, which is probably why some of our readers are in different countries, English speaking in other countries. I shouldn't have been surprised when I saw that those were our analytics. It made sense to me.
Oh yeah, I would think like Great Britain and over there would be pretty big.
Huge. And
yeah, I actually that is I think it's United States, Canada, and then Great Britain is like just the three top for audio listens.
Yeah. What we do is it's very interrelated. What you and I do. Mm-hmm. So you probably may or may not be surprised when you see who's listening to or watching your show.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even think of a culture and I forgot that guy's name. He throws on this guy. I've had him on before twice. I forgot his name. Damn it. He puts on a big conference out there like every 2 years, and it seems to do well. So I mean,
are you talking about Occultist?
Yeah, maybe that's yeah.
Guess what?
Like that. Yeah.
That's the organization that runs the Fool in Berlin.
Oh, okay.
Those are my buddies there. They put on Occultist.
Carl Abrahamson. I've had him on twice.
Okay, if we're thinking of the same one, because that's the big European festival that they do, but the organizers are the same ones from the esoteric space that I was telling you about. If we're thinking of the same one, but there is some of that stuff here in the U.S. What is the one that's coming? There's one that's coming up in your neck of the woods, as a matter of fact. Actually, there's a southern mysticism. I got to double check the name, but Professor Richard Kaczynski. I have to look it up. I'll send it to you later. But one of our contributors, she did such an amazing job. Mavis Lynn, who's in Thelema.
Yes.
She's appearing there, and so is her husband. They're appearing separately, but he's Richard Kaczynski, who's written a number of great books, but he's also Aleister Crowley's biographer.
Mm-hmm.
So you do see some of these festivals pop up, but in Europe it was really all over the place. Yeah, but that's where my interest in it first stemmed from, and it only boomed because of the research, and you spend a lifetime learning new stuff about it. The magazine is an excuse to keep educating myself as I go along, and I get to view it that way.
Okay.
What else can I share with you guys? We keep this
I did want to ask.
Q&A, because I'm good with just casual conversation.
Oh yeah. No, I did. There was a couple of questions. I just was wondering for myself. Well, first off, like, what even got you into? I guess maybe even getting into this. I guess the occult itself, maybe the esoteric, and one of the reasons why I'm asking is because that I was going to ask also, like, did it have anything to do with your surroundings? Because I know for me, Long Island seemed to have a lot of its own lore. And
Sure.
a lot of people believed in these ghosts and stuff from the Indians. So believing in ghosts, and since my father believed in aliens, those things were acknowledged, I guess, at a younger age, that maybe thinking weird stuff isn't out of the blue. But I do wonder if Long Island had somewhat of a hand in of me believing the stories I've heard.
It had to an extent, because this. I mean, we're from the Amityville Horror. And
that's true.
We're not only from there, but Ronkonkoma is what, 30 minutes away from Tesla's Wycliffe Tower, where they said he was. I don't think he was necessarily doing this. He was working on interdimensional portals and stuff like that. When you're a teenager and you hear these things, of course, that's where you're going to sneak out to go check out. I mean,
so I have to ask you, what about the Salem Asylum out there? I forgot the name of it.
Oh,
Nick, you know that.
Maryhaven.
The one, it's the one that all the kids like to run into and
I don't know.
There might be Kings Park.
I think it's in Kings Park.
Dix Hills, and then the one that I think he's talking about, Maryhaven, I think that might have been a Pilgrim State, which is the huge one in Central Iceland.
Okay. And I think the Kings Park one, I think you're right about this. See, the kids sneak in there, and they usually, the last time I heard is that people were sneaking in there to steal copper fittings. But here's some cool trivia for you that you may appreciate. Thomas Harris, the creator of Hannibal Lecter and did the Hannibal Lecter books, does have a house on Long Island at the East End. Okay. And when he was doing research for where Lecter is being kept, he had based some of it, the layout and design, on that hospital. So if you go back to the second book, technically the third book, the book Hannibal, when Clarice goes into the facility where she first met with Lecter, and now it's shut down after his escape. Now she breaks in there to go through whatever's left, and she has her flashlight. They did put it in the movie, but in the book there's greater detail. It is based on that hospital, and Thomas Harris based it on that. The decrepit, closed asylum is based on the one right there in Kings Park.
Nice.
There's some fun trivia from Long Island. But yeah, I always loved all the horror films and ghost stories and all that stuff as a kid, definitely. But I started to look at it in a very different light as an adult, which is probably the best way to take it more seriously and to research the real stuff. I don't know. I can't judge this, but I don't know if I would have had the diligence and the understanding of spirituality to have tackled some of these subjects from a philosophical standpoint if I didn't really get into it into my late 30s and early 40s, because there was so much different types of theology that was jammed at me through 11 years in Catholic school with nuns and priests, and celebrating not just the Catholic holidays, but with my extended family, the Jewish holidays as well. All of it is very beautiful. But working my way through that and then getting into Buddhism on my own and learning the meditative techniques and these things, it really did seem more like a path where I'm ready to embrace more of the history of Gnosticism and esoteric roots of some of these more than anything. To look at Christianity not as what it is today, but how it was originally perceived ages ago as the Christian mysteries, before it was a founded church, when it was considered at the time period a cult of its own, which is going back thousands of years, but it was competitive with other cults. And that's not what they're going to teach you at Catholic school. So as an adult, it's easier, especially having worked as a journalist and biographer, to look at these things that would seem bizarre to some people, but to have more of a, you just to more have your your head on your shoulders, and to approach it with less skepticism, and to embrace the history of it, and to find that your beliefs shift with that as well. I think maybe it's a healthier way to look at it, to come at it as an adult, maybe.
I think so.
Yeah.
I like that.
Well, thank you. But I can tell you about the processes of the magazine.
Yeah. I wanted to ask about that actually, and then I did want to ask, I put you on the spot, but maybe some of your favorite or more.
That's what I'm here for, man.
Or interesting, interviews you might have done, and maybe get an idea of like what kind of topics you might cover in there. But yeah,
as far as
I'd love to hear about how you even got it started.
As far as this subject or my whole life?
No, not this subject. Yeah.
Well, because to be honest with you, one of my favorite interviews I ever did in my life was Stuart Copeland from the Police. But there's nothing occult about that. So that was just fun. Yeah,
that was awesome.
That was a blast. But then again, that's also because I interviewed him about John Bonham, and the people I needed for that one was, again, during COVID. Nobody was on tour. Everybody was stuck at home. It was a little bit easier to get people interviewed when they were, bored.
Stuck at home.
Exactly. I interviewed Stuart Copeland about John Bonham. The first thing he says to me over the phone is he was complaining about how toilet paper was running out in the stores around him. I didn't expect that from the drummer from the Police. That was interesting, but I guess we were all the same. For the magazine, I don't want to play favorites, but so far we have gotten really cool interviews based on, and I appreciate from both of you guys that how you said that we're taking the subject matter seriously. That caught on. So we were able to get some of the bigger names in I don't consider occult to be a genre, but in this realm, the probably the most fun I got to have, and it's not playing favorites, it's just because he's really funny in real life, was Lon.
As soon as you said funny, I knew that's what it was going to be. Lon.
Because
I knew that too.
It's true. He just has like the best sense of humor.
Mm-hmm.
So he will give you serious answers, know everything, like a textbook, like a professor. But then when I reminded him that, Lon, I'm actually interviewing you. You might get a kick out of this. Today is also the anniversary of the discovery of LSD. He's like, oh, perfect. And he, fist pumps me over FaceTime. I'm like, this is the coolest. I want to be this guy when I get older. One of my favorite modern occult writers is also John Michael Greer. And I'm a very big, he's known for neo-paganism and for his books on modern druid practices, but he's another encyclopedia when it comes to just esoteric and occult history. And you can ask him anything. And I've been a fan of his for years. And his excellent book, the Occult Philosophy Workbook, is one of my favorite, pragmatic books for anyone starting out to change your mindset and to look at the world both as the invisible and the invisible from a practical standpoint. There's him, and before him was Israel Regardie. And their writing is different, but they cover some of the same ground from different angles.
Yeah, I would say so. That's a good way to say it. Yeah.
Thank you. But it was a real honor to get John Michael Greer for an interview as well. And one of the best friends that our magazine has had so far is Mavis Lynn, whose new book, The Holy Year of Thelema, is probably one of my favorite books on Thelema, a modern one that's come out in quite a few years, because it feels like a true extension of what Crowley was writing. And she's also done some not tweaks, but added more modern questions that people might have, such as she puts an emphasis on Aleister Crowley's wife, Rose. And previous writers have not really done that, but she was crucial to the founding of Thelema. And one of the things that I thought was really cool was I had asked Lynn if we could have an excerpt from the book, and she offered two things. She said that would be wonderful, and I said, well, it's for our summer solstice issue, and Lynn actually said, she goes, well, I have two ideas. I can tell you how to construct a proper Thelema summer altar. Or, if you don't want to keep it seasonal, I could give you a recipe for Aleister Crowley's Cakes of Light. And I said, that would be amazing, but I think the seasonal one might just fit the issue better. But when she wrote back to me, she actually said, she goes, because I also have gluten-free options. And I thought that was the coolest thing, as funny as this is going to sound, but in the modern era, like to even have thought of that for someone who is a practitioner of Thelema, is there a gluten-free option? And I'm not making a joke. Like, that was a really cool, just modern tweak that some of today's practitioners would even think to add, as not as a trend, but just as time has passed, you're going to get people that want to take part, but that could be a concern. So I really got a kick out of hearing that type of thing from any one of our contributors. I loved that.
Yeah, that's interesting. I never would have thought.
Those were a few. But I can also, if it's okay with you, not just as a shout out, but I could share, I do have some goodies to at least show you guys, if that's okay, because I made it a point to bring, to have ready books, not just from our publishing affiliates, because it's not a matter of just hyping them, even though they've been amazing to us and they're such a pleasure to work with, but also that I was able to get some really great interviews that are coming up in the next issue of the magazine. And I brought some of those books if you might get a kick out of it. So for example, the next issue that we have coming out is September 21st. So it's the fall equinox, but it's our Angels and Demons issue. But we don't just do Angels and Demons in history. There's also that we're doing planetary magic, and some of how the tarot can tie into that, into one larger thing. So for example, Red Wheel Weiser was kind enough to send this, but we have an interview with one of the authors of Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, Julia Sophia.
Nice.
All right. Julia is amazing. She is an astrologer and tarot expert that's based in the UK. And her interview was fantastic, but aside from a practitioner, she also has very academic responses, so it was a nice balance. But this is one we're doing a major review for the issue with that. She was.
Is that from Weiser?
It is. Yep.
Yeah, I'm looking at a stack of books. I have a stack of books on my table that they send me all these authors that offer to have on my show, and sometimes I'll tell them like, all right, I'll take these people.
You got anything?
And I must have about 4 or 5 of them that they've sent me the book, but never sent me the author that I have on the show, and I'm gonna be like, you want to send these people to me? And the funny thing is, it's actually some of the books that I was more interested in myself. I'm like, those are the guests that came on. Like,
I'm going to be nosy.
And that's one of them. That's one of the books. That's why.
Are you serious?
Yeah, that's what.
Oh, it's great. You'll love it. Yeah, so you're going to see. Well, it's either you can read it yourself or you can wait for our in-depth review. It's coming out. It's coming out in 2 months.
Trying to read it before I get her on. I was actually been like, I was even thinking I'm just going to find these people myself online and contact them. So I've done that myself too. They'll send me the books and they don't always send me the interview, connection.
I'm going to say,
all right, I'll go ask him myself. And I've told people, Weiser or Llewellyn, send me your book, but they never hooked me up with the interview. Do you still want to come on?
Gotta ask.
Sure. You never even told me.
We lost the loon.
Yeah, she's probably coming back.
Okay.
Yeah. But they probably get so overwhelmed with, I'm sure, because I know there's other shows that are doing the same thing. They probably forget who asked for what sometimes on it.
Well, Nick, you might appreciate this because it's also 2 writers speaking. And in all fairness, I have always appreciated when someone's reached out for an interview, like tonight. But in the past, if someone has read the book or they're interested in the subject matter, because, it's, I hate to say this, but it can be difficult for writers. Welcome back. It can be tough for writers.
Sorry.
No, I'm glad you're back. I've gotten a lot of real positive responses from the authors who seem very appreciative when I tell them I want to interview you about your book, and I'm willing to do a review or assign a review to someone. And I don't know if it's because it's esoteric and occult subject matter, so there's just a real kindness behind it. Every writer I've worked with on the magazine are nicer than perhaps some of the other genres, and maybe it has to do with it that it's very spiritual subject matter. But you would get more yeses than you might be thinking, my friend.
Yeah, anytime I've ever reached out to one of my own, they get all excited. Oh, they're like, "Oh yeah, sure." Yeah, right? I haven't had one tell me no that I had to actually reach out on my own.
I don't know if this would be for air, but you and I are going to talk about this because the PR people that are at all my affiliates are some of the nicest people in the public relations departments I have ever dealt with. And I can make some recommendations for you for real if you wanted to do that. For real, because they've not necessarily recommended who I should interview, but when I've shown an interest in a specific book and I say, I'd really like to do a cover, I'd like to do a feature on this or a real review of this. Do you think such and such would be interested in an interview? They will at least inquire for me. And most of the time the answer is yes. So I'll be honest, I don't know if I could have necessarily gotten John Michael Greer if it wasn't for the PR department at Aeon Spirit. Because they reached out for me, and I know he gets requests a lot, but I think it gets taken seriously a little bit more by an author when it's their, one of their publicists that's doing the asking.
Yeah.
Are any of these?
I even wonder if there's like even some sort of agreement that it's like, you're gonna go on these things every once in a while, right? To try to promote your book. Like, I don't know.
You want me to go inside baseball for a second?
Yeah.
I really appreciate when I get asked to do this, and I know I keep saying that, but it was really wonderful that you had invited me. When one of my books comes out, it's been standard three for three, where I have to agree to do 2 weeks worth of publicity after publication day.
Oh, okay.
So I do have a certain say in it, and it's always fun. But I've had to do a certain number of podcasts or radio shows and interviews because during that 14-day period, you got to make yourself available to some of it. But then after it cools down a little bit, any invitation I get after that is a huge bonus. So it might be the same thing. It's worth asking. I would ask if I were you. Yeah. I have to ask you. Nice. So Weiser sent you some stuff. Did you happen to get any of these? Siobhan Reedist she's awesome, and she is also a tarot expert, but she goes by V. That's her name. But her book is about empowerment through the tarot, and we're doing an interview with her in the same issue. This is a really cool one that I also recommend. We're going to have a review on that. I get to say this now, and I hope he won't be offended. Our good friend Lon, his latest book is a novel. It is not one of his brilliant nonfiction books. Instead, it's a brilliant novel, which is about young Aleister Crowley joining the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn and how he branched off from there.
Yeah,
I had to go. I'm sorry, Nick. Finish.
No, I said they sent me that book. They're trying to get him on, but I don't think it's gonna happen.
You got a copy of this?
Yeah, they sent me one. I asked them. I was like, "Yo, you think you could?" I was just trying to get him on the show. I'm just keeping it real, and I was like, "Oh, I know he's published through Llewellyn or Weiser, and they send me authors." So I hit one of them up, and I was like, "Yo, you think you could get Lon Milo on my show, maybe?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, it shouldn't be a problem. He just released the book with us too." And I was like, "Oh, what a coincidence! That's perfect." And they sent me the book, but I never got another response back. I'm like, "All right, I'll keep the book. Thanks."
Well, I would either follow up with that or contact him because he was a complete, awesome gentleman every step of the way.
Oh no, I'd love to get him on the show. I mean, other people on the show have even interviewed him. So.
Oh, he gives a great interview too. And I'm not just saying this, but I had to do an itty bitty baby library book tour in Michigan in May, and I took this with me because I get so tired of having to prepare for that stuff. And I read this in 3 days. I couldn't put it down. It felt like I was watching a movie. And I'm not saying this in case he sees this. In all honesty, I love this. And he's not known for his fiction. And for someone who is so much
like it makes sense if he could.
Yeah. Plus, it's got some of his humor in there too. So him writing a novel about Crowley is fantastic.
Oh,
And finally, with them, this just came in the mail yesterday. It's the 40th anniversary, and I'm a big fan of Rachel Pollack's tarot writing. But this is coming out from Red Wheel as well. So this is a cool one right here. I highly recommend this if you're a tarot fan, because this is considered one of her standard texts. Finally, you had mentioned Crossed Crow. That's one of our affiliates as well. They put out some really cool stuff, dude.
Yeah, I've had some of their authors on.
We got an interview coming up with one of their authors, Frater Barabbas, who writes. He writes. Well, he is not only a writer of witchcraft and the occult, but he also writes pragmatic books. This is more like a workbook or a grimoire more than anything else, because it's practical exercises for meditation and also for the angelic beings. We're doing a review of that, but I think, I don't want to get this wrong. Yeah, he's the founder of the Order of the Gnostic Star. So he has his own order, and his books on like Seraphim. That's another cool guy, but that's Crossed Crow. Let me see. I got 3 more if it's fair, because if you got questions about these,
go for it. No.
Aeon Spirit sent us some really cool stuff. We're doing.
I've never even heard of them.
This one, Aeon. Well, they put out some really beautiful oversized stuff. So we're going to be doing this, the Minor Arcana. This book is actually, I think it's the first time that it's been back in print since. Let me check this. I want to get this right. It's from the 1940s, and it was by this Russian author. It's translated though, but this was one of the first major books on just the minor arcana, and it was one of the first critical studies of it. But they put out a really beautiful hardcover edition. It's so gorgeous. Very selective who borrows my books, because books, they disappear, they don't come back.
Oh, that's true.
Now, I'm not going to say that I saved the best for last. But as far as like presentation is concerned, because some of these, I mean, the books are brilliant, but they are paperbacks, and they're meant to just be read. But like Judith had said before, like some of these are like collector's editions, and people want to have that, the shelves of real beautiful things. This is coming out. I don't believe they released it yet, but Aeon. I'm going to make some recommendations to you, Nick. This is coming out, and it is an anthology of just the magical writings of W.B. Yeats.
Oh, that's a joke.
From the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, the famous poet. This is absolutely stunning. This huge copy. You see how brand new it is. They just sent it to us. But it's all of his essays on magic. And to be honest, some of that can be tough to track down anyway in a nice copy. But this is a brand new one with notations and edited by John Michael Greer. So this is one that I would have probably wanted to purchase anyway, just because I love how it looks. And finally, one of our contributors for the next issue is also more academic-minded, but he's amazing. Peter Mark Adams is doing an interview.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Oh, you're a fan?
Yeah. I've had him on the show. I've actually been on a roundtable once or twice with him. He's a pretty interesting, intelligent guy.
All right. I'm happy to hear that, because I got my interview.
I think some of the things, some of his ideas and opinions.
He's really cool, and they have, I think, a 10th anniversary edition of this coming out from Scarlet Imprint, but haven't even opened it. I came home today, and this was waiting for me. His latest one is, The Game of Saturn, which is a study of the very first tarot deck. But this is, I'll be honest with you, they have not put out the 10th anniversary edition yet. It's coming out in a few months, but as a review copy, they sent me a sealed copy of the original. So for you guys, we're going to do an unboxing right now.
Awesome.
I haven't even looked at this yet. And from the reviews I saw, it's heavy too.
I'm going to have to hit him up and ask him if he wants to come on for me.
Yeah, he's in the middle of actually preparing the anniversary edition for publication. Oh, that's gorgeous. Yeah, there we go. Sexual Magic and Alchemy. Yeah. Magical rites, magical rituals. Yeah, so we're going to be doing a review of this, and his interview is based on the anniversary edition of this book. So yeah, that's the September issue, but it wasn't just to hype it. To give you an idea, as you know, since you know him, he's very academic-minded, but he's got a mastery of esoteric history. We also cover some of the older books that are now back into print. and practitioners who are adding to the library of modern occult writing. So, did we lose Nick?
No,
No,
no.
no. He probably he probably needed to step away for a quick minute. But I have to tell you, with that little display you just showed, you
I
probably
hope
made every occultist drool.
I'm very flattered. Well, here's the deal. We are expanding over the next year, Diana and I. I have two things that I would love to share with you guys, if that's cool. And I don't mean to sound like a commercial for the magazine. That's not what I'm going for. But we will be pivoting towards a more expansive website over the next few months, because with the last issue 3, we updated the website and added a new feature called Occult Reads. It's just called Occult Reads. And because we have, at this moment, 15 major affiliates that are sending us the best stuff, there's no way that I would ever have been able to review all of this. So we find freelancers and we outsource for more reviews. Judith, if you want to do some book reviews and get to keep the hard copies, I'll give you my contact after the show as well.
Oh, it would be my honor. Actually,
that'd be awesome. Well, now I get to ask something really quick. Now, you say you're interested in the occult, but what is some of the subject matter specifically that you do like, whether it's tarot or Wicca or astrology? What is some of your personal forte, if you don't mind?
My personal forte, I have dealt with the tarot. I don't know enough about astrology. I'm just like a surface astrology person. I'm big into the Egyptian mythologies. Yes,
okay.
very big into that.
Very cool. Yeah.
Yes, I'm very much a Gnostic, so I am actually in the process of taking a closer look at the Bible itself.
Right.
And so that's I have appreciation for some of the saints that I took for granted as a young child, because I grew up Catholic as well.
But see, this sounds like a very similar story. That's the whole thing. I went to Catholic school, and if you check out our blog over the next week, we have the celebration of Mary Magdalene is coming up this week. But we did a blog post that I wrote it, but it's a blog post celebrating the whole historical Mary Magdalene. So it's not just the Bible version. I got deeper into the Gnostic beliefs about her and the importance of her role according to the other, the Gnostic beliefs. That's it. The whole concept of the prostitute. That was one pope that said it one time, when the truth of the matter is she was probably from a wealthy family and was staking Jesus's his travels, which is a little bit different than what I was told in school.
Yeah, a lot different. Yeah. So yes. Actually, she's one I've learned to appreciate that much more in my delving back in. But I would be honored to do a book review.
Let's talk about that. I'm being serious, yeah.
But I also wanted to ask, do you have a submission process for us average Joes?
Don't say that. No. That's cute. But in all fairness, before I say that, I have to playfully and appreciatively correct one thing. If you have this show, in all honesty, you're a journalist. It does count. I don't think, if somebody takes the material this seriously and does their research and knows what they're talking about, it sidesteps being an influencer or a walking commercial. What you guys have is a legitimate show. That's one of the reasons I was excited to be on it. So I appreciate the modesty, but at the same time, you know what you're talking about. So this is to me, this is the real deal. This is where people get their information, whether it's digital magazines or websites, as long as it's something that's vetted and it has a research background and it's accredited in some capacity. I think it's the real deal. And this show definitely, to me, it constitutes that. Our submission process, I don't want to forget your question though. That is one of the reasons that we want to expand further, because we have been getting questions about submissions, and this is good, but it's given me a lot to think about. Very few people have asked about submissions when it comes to the nonfiction that we are known for. A lot of short story writers and a lot of writers of fiction are curious. And I don't know if that necessarily would constitute real occult writing, or if it's just because the market for fiction always has trends of its own. But we do accept submissions on our website and our email, modernoccultistmag at gmail.com. We look at it, Diana and I weed through it. But we've only accepted a handful of submissions thus far, because when it comes from someone who wants to write a nonfiction piece or is willing to do a book review, which is mainly what we do, that tends to be what our preference is. If we can expand to a point where we can put fiction and poetry, I would like to, but I don't want to be the person that judges the quality of someone's short story or their poetry, because that's not what I write. I've done editing and proofwriting and copywriting in nonfiction, so I'm not a taskmaster, but I feel a little bit more comfortable as an editor, weighing that. But if you do a book review, that's, that would be different.
Yeah.
But we do have an ongoing submission process, and we try, like I said, it's every 3 months. If anybody's out there and wants to submit something, you try and do it about a month and a half in advance. It would be really helpful, because we line up a lot of the feature stories by then. Yeah.
I thought, I think we went, okay, no, we didn't go dark. I thought we went dark there for a moment.
No, it looks like it's still working.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Oh, yes, we can hear you.
Yeah,
I can hear you.
for some reason it won't pick up the camera. I don't know what it is.
This is why I'm using Diana's computer. Because I had problems with my camera, and I don't want you to just have a voice for the whole hour,
Yeah. Sometimes I know the web browser, just out of nowhere, just doesn't support blah, 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 and then works 20 minutes later.
I can hear you loud and clear.
Yeah. Well, that's good.
Yeah. Well, those are, but we do have the exciting stuff that's coming up. Is with the last month, we did launch the Occult Reads section on the website, and the daily blog is called Modern Occultist News. But for the last month, we've done an additional feature where there is a book review and a recommended book daily, because we've been working with enough publishers and have enough reviews in the chamber that we've been able to do that. And I want to branch out into more literary stuff. I collect books just like you, Judith. So it's very much the same way. And the Occult Read section on the website is probably going to be very centric for when we expand over the next year. If I had my choice, and this is what Diana and I are pushing for, the flipbook style digital magazine will always exist, but we might pivot towards a website as magazine like Pitchfork or like LitHub, where we would be able to accept more submissions and run more reviews on a daily basis if the website itself was the magazine, as opposed to just flipping through and having to be really discerning over how much we can take each time. And for that, I will admit it, it's going to be a couple of months, but we will be launching an app so that the magazine will be, easier to download through that. We're excited about that. And Diana launches our podcast, which will not be competitive with you guys. It's very much based on the magazine, but the Modern Occultist podcast, hosted by Diana Sarhole, is next month. So that's in August. So you check it out. Yeah. I'd be happy to talk more about that.
August. Is it August 1st, perchance?
I don't believe it's the 1st. She's going to get so mad. I forgot the exact date that it is, but I know that it's mid-month. But I will definitely let you guys know when it would, because it would be so cool to do some kind of. You guys will be guests on the podcast. That would be amazing. We return the favor. That would be a lot of fun, actually. Yeah.
Nick likes to be on that side.
Yeah. It's less that I have to do. It's a lot more fun.
Did I put you on the spot, Judith, when I asked you some questions?
No. Well, yeah, actually, that was an unexpected turn.
One of the reasons I love your show is also because it is very conversational, which reminds me of the golden days of AM talk radio, which is what I grew up with as a kid. Good conversations. We
were talking about that earlier. Art Bell.
Yeah. But I always liked that, where it wasn't just the Q&A. It was just like a really cool conversation with a different guest and just see where that goes. To me, that's always been the best type of interview anyway. And I got to be honest with you, the interviews in the magazine have to be a little bit more clipped because we're in print. With Diana's format with the podcast, I think it can be a little bit more open-ended, like the way that you guys get like really cool conversations going. And that's always what I like to listen to myself. So hopefully
That'd be really cool.
Push towards that. Thanks, man.
Yeah, there's somebody I know, Mario from Symbolic Studies, not biting one of his styles or one of his techniques, but something that might even work for you. He has like sometimes people just record themselves, because not everybody's good at typing, and we'll send in like 10 or 15-minute voice clips on like an idea or a topic. Like you never know, like instead of like, if kind of still keeping it where you might be doing like an article from somebody, but they're not writing it because maybe they're not the best writer. So you get them to talk and you play it on your podcast, and you and your wife could talk about what you thought about the article.
I appreciate you saying that.
And I was like, oh, that would fit a magazine type-esque podcast. Really.
This just came up last night because we got our first request for that format. One of our guests that's going to be on the podcast was in not this issue, but in the second issue, in the manifestation issue, a brilliant writer. He is a Wiccan priest from Brazil named Claudinei Prieto. And one of his books in Portuguese was translated by Llewellyn Worldwide, which is the Hermetic book. No, it's not the Hermetic book.
He might be another one that I was supposed to get on too.
He's amazing, but he was very transparent about it. He said, my English is just in real time. It can be a little bit difficult, but that's why when we did the print interview, his answers were fantastic because he was able to take his time and do a translation of it. So he had asked if we sent the questions in advance, could he film his responses? And we are doing a special episode under that format because he's bilingual, but it was a comfort level. And I said, I'd be happy to do that because I want to be able to be inclusive and I want to be able to have voices from all over the world. So if this works for more of our guests, I thought that sounded great.
Yeah.
But thank you for the suggestion too.
Yeah, of course. No, it just sounded like it would fit. You know what I'm saying? Like for me, it'd be easier for me to record myself possibly than have to, write something that long.
I was going to say, I sent you your questions already.
Yes, yeah, I know. I was supposed to get to them over the weekend, and I'm going to get to them tonight and tomorrow for sure, though.
I don't need them for quite a few weeks.
No, but the thing is, I may forget, and I got a lot of shit coming up in the next few weeks, so I'm better off getting it done now.
Judith, is that his way of telling me that I have to text him every couple of days?
Yeah. Yo, that was another thing, too. I was just like, I gave this dude my number. You don't have to email me anymore. If you wanted to know about the link, you could just text me.
If it's fair, absolutely. Not everybody is open to that, though. See, that's
I gave
contributors and friends. I take texts, but I'm very weary about giving that out sometimes. So with you, it's fine, but well, sometimes I pick and choose a little bit.
Yeah, it's good to use discernment in that context. Yes.
You were asking about submission guidelines. That's why I don't put the phone number up, because there's a big difference between someone I know who we're already collaborating and if someone's going to text over and over and
yeah.
Did I make the cut?
Be persistent that way.
It could happen too, I know. And it's weird being on the editorial stance of that because I've been a freelancer my whole life, But I do want to add something super quick if it's okay. I didn't know if it would come up or not. Both of you at the beginning of this interview had asked why an occult magazine. The truth is that I do think, and I'm not saying that we are up there on the scale, but one of the biggest inspirations for this really is that, and Diana and I both have this as one of our mantras, is that this subject matter kind of sort of always evolved, at least over the last century, through magazines and small publications. Because of stigmas that were attached with it, because it was underground, the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn was a very elite group. Wicca kind of had to work not as much of a public face until Gerald Gardner, but behind the scenes, you have a really beautiful lineage of some of my favorite occult and esoteric writers who all had their own magazines because that's how they were able to work out their ideas and put their theories down for the public to see before putting out what would become like a more famous book. Aleister Crowley is probably the most famous of that with the Equinox and how he was able to structure Thelema through, I think it was twice a year that magazine came out. Helena Blavatsky had 2 magazines consecutively to work out her theories. Dion Fortune. The magazine that she founded is still in existence in the UK. And, we just did the Chaos Magic issue, and one of my favorite one of the most important and personal favorites is Peter J. Carroll, who started writing about his theories on chaos magic in a small magazine, The New Equinox, before it ever became a book. So one of the things that we do is we not just cover these subjects and interview practitioners, but I have tried over the last few issues to at least have a new theory or someone who's working on something new in the occult. A friend of mine, and we became friends because we collaborated, is a chaos magician in the UK named Gavin Fox. And he wrote a book that I highly recommend called The Accelerated Necromancer. But he did an original piece for us that are his own theories that had a tinge of chaos magic. And I got so excited by this article because it was someone not just reporting on the history of something, but putting a new theory forward. And that's what my heroes as occult publishers did do over the last 150 years, really. And I'd like to be able to put more of that out there. So if anybody's watching in their submission guidelines, like you asked Judith, if there are magicians, ceremonial magicians, or esoteric writers that want to try out new theories or new experiments, that is one thing that I know I would be very interested in branching out with as well, because there's a beautiful history of that in these types of magazines as well. Just wanted to put that out there. Yeah.
Judith, do you remember how often they did send out the Equinox? I don't remember. I remember getting it a couple times while I was in the OTO.
Crowley's magazine?
They sent something. Didn't they send some? What was their monthly, not monthly, their thing that they sent?
I don't even remember the name of it.
Yeah, they did send something. I can't remember what it was. It was like once.
We talk about the same thing? Is it Aleister Crowley's magazine you're talking about?
Well, it was the OTO. I'm not sure if they called it.
Oh, see, I don't know who does that now, but Aleister Crowley's original was twice a year. And if you go back to the original issues, he had fiction and he had poetry and then criticism. And then there was a section of it where he would put more of his new ceremonial practices and rituals and theories in there. And then you have, not to be lectury, but then you have the Blue Equinox, which is a book form of just a compendium of the ritual stuff. But the original issues of the magazine was actually had a huge variety of different types of occult writing. But the stuff that people remember the most are his teachings that came out of it. But it did have more creative writing mixed in and stuff. That was definitely an inspiration to me as well, I have to admit. But I mean, I'm not starting a religion, but that's why having other practitioners write about what they're working on and are willing to share a theory, much the way that Crowley did, is of huge interest to me. Yeah.
It also opens up new discussion points.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And I know that there can always be dissension among different schools of thought. But, if you read anything academic, you see professors and you see academics arguing amongst themselves anyway. So I don't know why occultists would get a bad rap. If we can have a lively discussion about new theories and new practices, I'm happy to play host to that. I don't necessarily have to take part. But anything that keeps the conversation going without being contentious, all it does is breathe new life into the subject matter. And that, to me, is the most important key. But like I said, we are very community-based, so hearing from different schools of thought is something that I had wanted for it anyway.
Sounds awesome.
Thank you so much. It is free to subscribe to, everybody, so please feel free to check out modernoccultist.com because we are going to be offering a lot of cool new features over the next year. I'm not wrapping it up. I just wanted to put that out there. It is a free magazine, and the subscription is free. So I hope people will check it out because there's no charge whatsoever. But we will, over the next year, probably branch out into offering some stuff that might not be free. Not necessarily membership status and things, but merch and hopefully a print edition, like I was saying, hopefully an annual once a year. contributors are asking, like, can I have a hard copy to have for my collection? And it's really hard to say no to contributors who've been so good to us and who become friends. So if I could do an annual print edition where it's like a book length of the 4 issues slammed together once a year, Diana and I were talking, and that's something that we're toying with the idea of doing. Maybe have an old school cover like the old Victorian magazines, and just have the list of all the contributors of the year. Something like that, I think, would be a lot of fun. So we're working on that.
Would more subscribers help that come into fruition?
It most certainly would, Judith. Thank you for pointing that out. I don't mean to sell it on that, but since it is a free periodical, I hope if anybody is interested, they won't just visit, but will subscribe. We don't send garbage out, and I'm going to say that. Our newsletters are few and far between. The magazine itself arrives either on the solstice or the equinox in your inbox. And if you do check out the blog, we have literally, there is a new blog this day in occult history, where we tell you what happened in the history of the occult on that day, every day, along with a new book recommendation right below it that matches the subject matter. So this is all free stuff if you want to check it out. I hope people really will. But thank you for the platform for getting that out there.
Of course.
Now, Diana will appreciate it too, because the podcast is something we're really psyched about.
What was it? You guys have sponsors?
As of right now, we have affiliate partnerships with 15 different publishers. And if you don't mind, I don't mean it to be like I'm hyping anybody, but one of the templates that I was using for this at the beginning was, it's a great online magazine called Literary Hub, and they have an offshoot called Crime Reads. And the website is the magazine, and they work literally with every publisher. There is no favoritism. It's just, if you love books, they have different pull downs for any genre. It's just, this is the magazine for book lovers, like what Reader's Digest used to be, but just very, very, very modern. And following suit with that template, I wanted to partner with as many of the publishers as possible, because I wanted there to be as many voices that could be heard. All these publishers put out great stuff. So if you don't mind me listing just a few: Llewellyn Worldwide, Red Wheel Weiser, Aeon Spirit, Anathema, Scarlet Imprint, Inner Traditions. Those are just a few of them. But based on those, right off the top, so many new books every year, and so many reissues of classic stuff, and so many authors. I mentioned Lon-Milo Duquette a bunch of times, I know that, but him and John Michael Greer have pretty much put out books for like every one of these publishers at some point. So if you hype one of their books and it's for Weiser, there's a good chance that a reader is also going to look them up and find, oh, they have a book from Llewellyn that I would want as well. Because in the occult world, a lot of these authors, in order to keep writing, do write different material for different publishers. So you do see that there's some bleed over. I know that companies in general are supposed to be competitive by nature, but this is a very community-based thing where there's a lot of goodwill. And maybe it's because these are spiritual subject matter publishers anyway, that it's just been a very positive experience. It doesn't feel, when I work with the PR companies on this stuff, it doesn't really feel like I'm dealing with like a corporate entity. I don't get that vibe from them. And I don't know if it's the same with the big publishers that put out, more mainstream material. But because all of these writers and all these publishers put out different forms of spirituality, it just seemed to be a lot easier to work with than some of the experiences I've had in the past. So like I said, the people who are in the publicity departments are probably some of the nicest ones that I've ever gotten to meet, which is rare and very nice. So I'm not playing favorites. They're all pretty awesome so far.
Well, I've even said a lot of the book companies, the people that I deal with, seem pretty damn cool through emails.
Yeah, and it's not necessarily what I expected. If I started to cover film, it might be a little bit different. I don't know what the response would be at that point. But then again, that's and I don't mean to pivot towards something else, but I will say this: because we use the word occult, I've been told by people that can have a negative connotation or a stigma from people who don't know it from the hidden history standpoint. And there really aren't a lot of good movies that have to do with our interest. It's either a horror film or it's
disaster film.
Yeah, you don't see a positive movie very often about this type of subject. So if you're into ceremonial magic, or you're, there's only so many times you can make a movie about Merlin, so you don't see new stuff that often. And to be honest with you, I'll do this one more time for Lon. That's why I genuinely hope that this becomes a movie, because it's probably one of the most positive books on ceremonial magic that I've seen. There's some scary scenes in it because there's suspense in it, but you don't see too much of that very often. And I don't know if I would have the same experience if I had to review movies. Diana and I were talking, should we do movie reviews as well? Like, how many movies? But what are we going to review? There's very few films that deal with the subject matter. I love the Evil Dead series, but if I were to write about it, it's another horror film. Yeah.
Then you can get to your skin speaking book.
Dude, I want to get a prop of the Necronomicon. They sell it online. I got to have one of those for my office. That would be so cool. At some point, I would like to have that.
Yeah, right.
What's some of the cool stuff? You must have some cool stuff. You said you had 5 books that they sent you. How much of these look familiar to you? Now I'm jealous. I want to know what you got that I didn't.
Yeah, I can go grab them real quick. Actually, I'll let you know.
Well, I can't see them until your camera works.
Yeah, no, but I'll go grab them and tell you who they are.
So I'm curious.
I'm curious to see what they sent him, because I could tell you right now, if he's looking to line up interviews, usually the response is really, really, really positive. But then again, you also get, and I'm not going to name names, but there are a few celebrities that will come out with a one shot of a book that aren't necessarily into the interview process because they have to do it all the time. So I'm not saying that that's necessarily because they're difficult or anything like that, but I think
they just get tired.
Yeah, I guess I could understand that. If you have to do press junkets for films and shows and things like that, the last thing you want to do is necessarily do another interview for the book that you're hyping, I guess. But the occult writers are usually a little bit easier to get a hold of.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
I think, okay.
The books I got Taming Tigers and Butterfly Dreams.
That sounds familiar. Who's the author on that?
Yang Ming Dao.
Mm-hmm. Okay. That's Red Wheel?
Terrorist. I can't even tell. It doesn't look like their normal logo. I'm actually wondering who sent me this. Yeah, it is Red Wheel. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. Then I have the Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, the one that you mentioned.
It's really great. Yeah, we're reviewing that one in the next issue. So, and Julia Sophia, who's one of the co-authors, is one of the interviews for it. So,
nice. I might actually ask you if you can get a contact for me for them, so I can ask them to come on.
If you don't mind me saying it on air, I would be more than happy to do that. Julia's really cool, and she did a great interview that we went back and forth with. So I can imagine that to help with her outreach, that would probably make sense. Just beware, she is in the UK, so there'd be a time difference.
Oh, yeah. Before. Oh, then I got Hazho or Hasku. I don't even know how to pronounce it. It's some Navajo Nation medicine.
Cool.
So women's exploration of the 4 bodies of existence for balance and self-reclamation.
Very cool.
My granddaughter Crow. Then I got Swamp Sorcery.
Oh, I saw that in their catalog.
That's for that might be Llewellyn. Folk Magic from American Southern Wetlands by Mystic.
That might be an easy one for you to get an interview for, because we both know where we're located in the U.S.
Mm.
If that's a somewhat localized author, that might be something that you might be able to get.
And then I got the Big Book of Planetary Aspects by Dr. Stormy Grace.
That looked cool. I saw that was coming out.
Yeah, I really wanted to get this person on too. Yeah.
Who's the author on that one?
Dr. Stormy Grace.
Yeah, you might be able to get interviews for those, dude. Take a shot.
Yeah,
I would
you
also
can eventually look
recommend.
for myself if I have to.
I would also recommend reaching out to some other publishers as well. Llewellyn is very hands on with their stuff.
Oh yeah. I get Llewellyn, Wiser, and Inner Traditions and Crosscrow. Those send me people.
That's the best. And with Inner Traditions also has sent some really cool stuff as well. I didn't bring it because they were very heavy in our last issue with the reviews, but one of their authors is doing a feature for the next issue as well. So, oh, you know what we did a review of that was really cool. I did one on Inner Alchemy. That was Inner Traditions. That was really great. And did they send it? Richard Kaczynski's book Mind Over Magic, which is a site. He's a ceremonial magician, but he's also Thelema. I want to make sure I call it correctly. His practice, but he's also a psychologist. So he wrote a book on the psychology and the benefits of the mindset, like the positive aspects of what you can do for your own psychology if you practice ceremonial magic. And it's academic, but it's also very, very readable. And I have to double check, but I think that was Inner Tradition sent that to us. I don't want to get that wrong. I can always correct it. But that book was fantastic. And I think that was them. Anyway.
Yeah.
Well, they sent you really cool stuff.
Was there anything else that you want? Judith, was there anything that you wanted to ask or anything specific?
Not right now. I mean, you answered all my questions. Thank you so much, Chad.
Thank you for having me. I got to be honest, the hour actually went really fast. When I said to Diane, like, it's an hour live, she's like, are you nervous? I'm like, yeah, well, I've watched the episodes. It seems pretty chill to just talk with them. I think this should go smooth. But the hour went really, really quickly.
Yeah, it's an hour and 20 minutes, actually.
Yeah.
I am so appreciative for this. I hope I didn't talk your ear off, even though I know as a guest. Your questions were great, and I hope I didn't sound like a commercial. That was not the plan.
No.
But on that note, it is modernoccultist.com. Please, I will say to please check it out, though, because the Occult Reads section, we update about once a week with new books. And if you do visit the site, the magazine is free. You can click on it and read the issue for free. The subscription is also free. You can hit subscribe. There's a subscribe page. And Modern Occultist News is our daily blog where we have On This Day in Occult History and a different featured book every day. Everything is free. I would love if people check that out. But I also hope I get to talk with you guys again at some point. Hopefully you'll be on our podcast. Diana's the host, but I'll chime in so I can say hi. It would be a lot of fun. So
no, I definitely would.
I am really, really flattered by the invitation, guys. I really can't thank you enough for this. This was a blast, and I've been a fan for a while. So
thank you. That's awesome.
To talk to you. I'm gonna hang around for you for a little bit because I got stuff I want to share. Oh, really cool. Check this out. Wait, Scarlet Imprint sent the Game of Saturn. Look at the bookmark they sent me.
Wow.
Isn't that cool? This small print company, I love small presses. Everything is so bespoke. They send the coolest stuff that goes along with it. A few of them. And Anthema published, they sent some really cool stuff to go along with their books as well.
I like Scarlet Imprint. I got to get them back on too. They're pretty cool.
They got a lot of really cool books.
Yeah, they get some really nice books too. They make some nice stuff.
Well, I don't know if you're wrapping up or not, but I want to say this very, very, very seriously. Judith, it was such a pleasure getting to meet you. Thank you so much for the cool conversation and for the great questions. Nick, that goes for you as well, my friend. I know at some point when you move, we're going to hang out.
Definitely. No, for sure.
But I want to keep the conversation going with you because I do have recommendations for you. I think that a lot of people, especially authors, would love the opportunity to chat with you about their books because you offer a great platform and you take the subject matter seriously, which is what authors in general and definitely authors of spiritual subject matter are always looking for.
No, for sure. Please, send them my way. I'm all about it. Yeah.
Thank you for the awesome conversation and for the platform to share this. It really means a lot.
No, thank you. I really appreciate you coming on, man. Hopefully we'll get you on again in the future.
I'd love to. We'll meet Diana next time.
Yes, there you go. Sounds like a plan.
Thank you, guys.
Judith, what about yourself? You want to plug anything? You want to?
Actually, you could find me on X, YouTube, and on Spreaker as the Loon. I have a couple of stuff I'm working on to upload right now.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
I just wrote it down. I'm going to check it out.
Awesome.
Don't disappear. After this is done, really quick, I want to make sure you both have my contact info. One of you is going to be doing a book review, and the other one's going to get recommendations from me, because tomorrow I can send some contact info for you that you're going to need, Nick.
Nice. All right. Awesome. Sounds good. Sounds good.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, no, for sure. Thank you for coming on. Again, Judith, thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Of course, of course. And everybody in the chat, that is what's up. Thank you so much. And that's where we go live. And yeah, until the next one, everybody be well. Later.